rush, so my mind could just see, so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spend a couple bucks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.
やめろやめろどうだな助けに来た男に殺される気分は鉄十字団に恨みを持つ麻薬刑事さんスパイダーストリング格闘技世界チャンピオンスパイダーマン
That's right, folks. 27 seconds, right? Because that is actually how long the average guy like Kevin that Cyber reminded me of that came on our Moon Knight episode review and didn't watch it last in bed and during the head. He lasts 27 seconds. 27.75 actually. There you go, folks. That's you know, this is our you know, the MCU's Bleeding Edge. This is now going to be one of our new things. We're going to do a spin-off of you know, what was the one with Big Bird and everything and whatnot and shit?
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street, yeah, you know, like the count with the numbers and shit and whatnot. Well, there you go. Every week I'm going to do something with a different number. It's going to be some. No, I'm just joking. Anyway,
Which animal are you going to be dressed up as?
Well, I'm doing costume shopping later this week. But anyways, no, folks.
Wiener.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's Halloween season, so I figured this is the time to hit up the party shop, right, and look for some interesting shit to put on. Because I want to add some. I do want to wear some costumes. I want to add some more shit to my Tusken Raider costume. I need some more belts.
You don't think it's Halloween yet, right?
No,
that's October.
No, but Walmart's actually already starting to.
Oh,
they are. They're already starting. I saw it today.
They got the spirit of Halloween and it's opened up around here already.
Baby.
So
that's right. They're trying to eat off that shit. They're trying to eat off Halloween, baby.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Them crap fuckers. Goddamn capitalism.
I live in Texas. It's like 105 degrees over here. So it
oh,
doesn't feel like Halloween.
Well, you know what? I don't know what to tell you, man. It's fucking just as hot over here in Southwest Florida, bro. Probably the same thing, right? Yeah, I imagine, you know? And it ain't dry heat over there by you. I know that. But anyways, folks, we're here to do a Braveheart review. We've got a great guest panel here. Cyberneticshark, my co-host, has finally seen Oppenheimer. So, you know, that automatically just cured all the lingering effects of his, you know, intense flu that he, you know, unfortunately suffered. Which I'm not trying to make light of at all because having the flu is fucking no joke. I've never had it, but I believe it's probably pretty fucking bad. And Cyber doesn't take shows off and shit and whatnot unless he's something fucking really going down. You feel me? He ain't no fucking he ain't no weak ass little bitch, right? He handles his business. And he actually watches the episodes we review, unlike Kevin. You know, and if he didn't watch the episode, he does not come on. He wouldn't come on and be like, well, you know what? I wanted to add a contrast to the panel by not watching the fucking episode and whatnot and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay,
yeah, don't you remember the part with the chick in the bikini and she went crazy? And
yeah, that's right.
She jumped into the tar pit. I just don't know.
It was so funny. I'm like, okay, remember Cyber? I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna fucking work, bro. But let's see how it plays out, right? You know what I mean? And no gives a fuck at that point. So I just waited for the first round of questions. I just threw him at him, and he had no fucking idea what to say. When I brought up the scene from the fucking show, and I was like, okay, Kevin, what's up? He didn't even say anything, right? Yeah, there you go.
He came up with something.
So stupid. With I just cut him at that point. Yeah. It was so stupid. I was like, "Oh fuck him."
That's what I said. Bleeding Edge canon that I.
You know, just I said that shit too. I was like, "Fuck that dude, man. He's done. Fuck him." Wait till I go on Facebook tomorrow and tear him apart.
Oh boy, that was an epic one for the ages. I remember.
Did you see me when I live? Did you see me when I live that day?
Man, you went fucking insane.
Was I that bad?
Well, I sent a message to Mark and I'm like, what happened?
Was I that bad?
What the hell happened? Yeah,
I didn't think I was that bad.
Oh, no, you tore that guy a new asshole. I just
remember. You deserved one. You know what I'm saying? That was completely unprofessional. Tony, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Tony doesn't have half the content creation experience as Kevin did. And Tony would never do anything that fucking stupid.
You don't know. I just
Shut
got
up,
here.
Tony. Anyways, folks, we're gonna do a Braveheart review. Bleeding edge reviews, baby. Obviously, I'm Jeff S, A.K.A. True Knowledge. Why I'm even pointing at that Avengers poster because it's not the MCU's Bleeding Edge poster anymore. I have no idea. But then I used to point at that and say I'm the humble host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. But now I can't. Now the point of the Avengers thing doesn't really do anything for me. But hey, it's a dope poster though, man. Can't go wrong with the original Avengers, bro. Fucking glad I had that damn thing. Anyways, and I love that fucking goddamn Sylvie thing too. Goddamn, I love my shit. Jesse, what's up? You even commented on my new background, man.
I need to start paying attention a little bit more. My apologies.
I'm just kidding, dude.
Check out mine. It's a black tablecloth.
Listen, I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love it. It's like, it's a different version. It's a different version.
Very goth.
You know what I'm saying? It's not blackface. It's like, blackface in the background.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Boy.
So there you go. No, I'm just kidding. No, honestly, as Cyber, I've actually said multiple times that I like your layout and everything and whatnot. I like your soft lighting.
Oh, that's a work light sitting up there by the ceiling. That's all that is, hanging off a water pipe.
Hey, you know what? What else did you expect, folks?
I get it done, though. I get it done.
So listen, Jesse, Cyber and I think both knew that was probably what it was going to be. We didn't expect it to be some high tech fucking, you know what I'm saying? Logitech. Anyways, we got Jesse Starcher over here, and of course, I'll let him do his bona fides because I mean, honestly, I know him, you know what I mean, but he's better at them. And I'll introduce Tony real quick right now and let him say his piece and whatnot. Tony's new to the show; it's his first time on. Tony, you've never done You said what have you done? A couple movie reviews before?
Yeah, I just did a couple with a buddy of ours, Joey, J Rent podcast.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I met Tony over with J Rent. Now that I guessed again, now I get conflated sometimes with who I meet where. But thank you, J Rant. Joey, we hope you're doing all right out there, brother. We did reach out to you and ask you if you wanted to come. Well, I did if you wanted to come on for Braveheart. But we love you, brother. We love the podcast Odyssey. And Tony, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really wanted to just get into it. You asked me to do, I think, a few weeks in a row, and I was like, well, I got 1 week open. Better get at it. Otherwise, I'm gonna start getting invited.
There's nothing better to do than just throw yourself right in the fire, man. We almost had a guest come on for his first time ever tonight, but then he decided it was not a great idea, and he was probably right, to be honest with you. But he's gonna come on Sunday because he's more of a Star Wars guy. I just met him out in public. We got another guest coming on too, Cyber, that's brand new. I just met at the Verizon store when I bought my mobile hotspot. What a shot. Him and his buddy want to start a Twitch live stream, whatnot, everything. They want to cover Star Wars and Marvel. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyways,
big comic book fan too.
Yeah. You know what? We've got MCU stuff coming up, but Jesse, my friend, what are you doing these days? What's going on?
Oh man, just hanging out on the Source Material Comics podcast, hanging out there doing some comic book discussion. Just recently, my goodness, I think me and Mark were talking about some DC books. I think we started our trilogy of DC books where we're talking about Supergirl Power, and then also doing a 90s centric comics podcast called Unspoken Issues over there on the W2M Network. So I'm talking comics all the time over there, and that's about it. That's the main deal.
Hey. And we'll pull all that up at the end of the show when we do our plugs. Cyberneticshark, you ready to rock and roll, baby? What's up?
I've been ready since last Friday.
I know. Anyways, what else is there to say about Braveheart, right? I mean, it's fucking Braveheart, all right? So look, I'm not going to go scene to scene on this at all, right? I'm going to kind of just try to be, lean more towards me talking and more you all talking. And just, try my best at it and whatnot. I'll know I'm a long-winded motherfucker, but I'll try. So, my questions are going to be not too complicated. And I'm just going to basically just, come in here and put it out there to you right now, folks. That if you haven't seen Braveheart at all, I'm not going to go scene to scene. It's that simple. We've all seen it, right? You know what I'm saying? Whatnot. I'll set up some basic premises. But if anything, I'll let these guys just come in and step in and whatnot. And kind of, if there's something that needs to be pointed out, I'll let them do it. Right? That's why they're here. That's why we have a panel. So here we go. Right off the bat, I can tell you right now that Braveheart is fucking awesome. Right. And Tony never saw it in his entire life until today. So
yeah, I finished watching it today.
There you go. You want to talk about some contrast, baby? The last time I saw it was I think 96. Same for you, Jesse?
Yeah, dude. It was right around 96. I think I was just going into college at the time, and everybody was watching it downstairs on this massive, like, big screen TV that the college had, and we all sat around and just was in awe with what was going on the screen there. Great movie.
Oh, that's an awesome way to watch it too, man. That's just thinking about that. Whenever they did that when I was in college at the frats and whatnot, it was always like football games and shit.
Right, dude. Yeah. This was down the bottom of the dorm. They had this rec room, and you remember those TVs, those big screen TVs from the 90s, huge tube TVs they had down there. But yeah, it was beautiful.
Nah, man, fucking A. You know, when I was in college, I hacked the cable.
Did you really?
I climbed up in that bitch and hacked the cable for my room. Yeah, my dorm room. Yeah, I did. Motherfucker, you better believe it. I got all the channels. Yep. Cyberneticshark. When was the last time you saw Braveheart? Until today or yesterday?
I mean, before I watched it on Friday, it was probably, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago. I rewatched it when I first picked it up on Blu-ray. So yeah, I say about 5 or 6 years. I mean, I didn't see it until probably it had already been out for like 10 years. So
really,
yeah. So I didn't see this back when it first came out.
No, I don't want to go. I'm not heavy on this, but why? I mean, I know you've always been a big movie fan. Are you not a huge Mel fan?
No, it had to do with being a witness for 20 plus years.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right, no problem. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I'm sorry I even went there. Anyways, I didn't know, but whatever. Bottom line, Braveheart is a good goddamn movie.
You did. I told you before.
I know that. That's why I'm saying I feel bad. I'm trying to apologize. Anyways,
you don't need to apologize.
I know. I rarely get it.
It is what it is.
I'm so really apologetic, folks, that Cyber every time I do it has to like make sure that he not eliminates it right there because he wants me to just completely like get rid of it, which I appreciate, Cyber. I'm telling you, I do. No, but seriously, Braveheart is a really great film. If you haven't seen it, folks, honestly, I mean, hey, check the review out and whatnot. You'll enjoy it. I guarantee it. It'll be fun. There'll probably be some serious shit and some funny shit and some emotional shit, to be honest with you, some deep shit. And even maybe a big shit. I might take one during the show, during the trailer or something. I don't know, but
wasn't expecting that.
No, either way, who knows? That's the possibility. I am human, but no, epic film. Saw it when I was a child, with my father and my mother, and I think it might have been one of the first films I ever cried on. I ever cried during when I was probably like maybe 12 years old or 13, I guess, in 96. I was 12. I'd be 12 then. 12, 13, whatever. And I cried. I cried. I didn't really understand.
13.
Yeah. I didn't really understand. I lost same time I lost my virginity. And basically,
watching the movie?
No, after. No, I mean, I didn't cry during losing my virginity. That'd be a problem. But
he's laying down there yelling.
He cried when he lost his virginity.
No, I didn't cry. Believe me, I was not crying during that. I was in ecstasy, bro.
I might have cried too.
No, but no. But no, I cried. I did. Because it just even at 13, I understood the power, right, of the film and whatnot, and everything, and it just even at that age, I don't think it was actually the ending scene. I think it was the overall cumulative film itself, and then it was the ending, that got me. And at that point, I did just, I cried, and but I mean, then again, I cried during Gladiator, right? So there you go, Cyber. I didn't even think to mention that. I cried during Gladiator too. A few movies I cried during back in those days, but that's one of them. Those two were one of them. But so I'll start off and just ask you guys right off the bat. And since you watched the movie for the first time today, Tony, what was your impression after hearing about the film? Probably for a long time, your whole, a lot of your probably adult life. What were your perceptions going into watching it?
Well, so first of all, like I didn't really hear a lot of. It was a great movie. I don't think a bunch of people was like, you got to see it. You got to see it. That's probably why it took me so long, because nobody ever pushed it on me. I've heard that it was a great movie, but not too much more than that. But at the same time, going into it, seeing it for the first time, I knew it was old. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have my expectations kind of low, really old, you know.
Really, really old, really old.
I was about to say.
Ouch.
I mean, how old is it? It's almost 30 years old. That's an old
That
movie.
hurts, man. That hurts. All right, sorry.
I'm almost as old as y'all, sort of. So don't feel bad.
All right.
Okay,
So
here's
anyways,
the question for you, Tony.
Go for it.
How old were you in 1995?
9.
Okay.
I was just talking to Jesse about it. I was 9. So, like, I could have seen it. I would have gotten it, but you know, it just never got around to it. And like I said, it just didn't get hyped up enough for me to see it. So, finally, when I did see it yesterday, it was really good. Like, no special effects. It's all practical effects. It's all like, you can tell that they spent some money on it. Like, the cast was gigantic. So many people, like all those people on the battlefield. You know, like, I don't know how many horses probably actually died in that movie. It was nuts. Like, the horse scenes, like those poor horses. Holy, so many like flipped around, you know, and fell down and got stabbed. How many of those stabs were real? We'll never know. They're never going to tell us.
So in general, though, I mean, your perception of the film was essentially that you didn't think it was going to be that good.
I didn't think it was. I didn't think that it was going to be bad. I just didn't want my expectations too high, knowing that it was old. You know, like, it's just different nowadays. Like, they want the actors to be on point nowadays. Back then, not, you know, like, it was 50-50. It could be really good acting or it could be really terrible acting. You just never knew. But yeah, I just didn't have high expectations, and it was awesome. Like, it blew me away. Like, there were so many things that I want to talk about.
That's great. That's great. You'll get a chance to. Cyberneticshark, sir. What were you, looking back, right? If you can, think back to when you first saw it at all, if you can connect to that point, what did you, I mean, you probably, I'm sure you had a pretty good idea what you were getting into, but were you blown away by it? Did it meet your expectations? Was it, way surpassed it?
So, I mean, I saw the trailer when it came out in '95, and I'm a huge fan of Scotland, of the Scottish. I am Scottish myself, so I've always been interested in that culture. So from the get-go, as soon as I saw the fighting sequences, I was like, oh, damn, I got to see this movie. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see it until years later. But going into it, I knew what I was getting into. I knew it was going to be action-packed film, that it was going to be dramatic, that it was going to be there was definitely going to be parts where there's going to be history, there's going to be interesting facts to learn and all that kind of stuff. And my expectations was, to be an epic, grand movie like everyone was making it out to be. And it delivered on that. I thought it was a really well done film. I loved everything about it. I thought that, there's definitely some parts where I felt they could have trimmed a few things down. But overall, it met my expectations, and it gave me the action I was looking for, which was just this epic battle. And it was great seeing, battles around that time frame of human life with the type of weapons they had at the time. That was really fun too. So, I mean, it was all the expectations I was looking for. It met those and more.
Mr. Starcher, same question, sir.
Yeah. So if you would have sat down and said, hey, Jesse, would you like to watch a movie that takes place in the 1300s about a Scottish guy who tries to rise up? Oh, and by the way, it's based on historical fact. I would have said, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer. I'm not interested. It's just something that I'd rather watch Terminator again. And point of fact, when I was 9, Predator came out. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, so looking at it, I was not, I wasn't thrilled to be watching the movie. I heard so much great stuff about it, but then when I sat down and experienced what was going on, this movie doesn't hold back in some of the, especially with the violence. I think that's kind of what sets this movie apart for me, is how violent it can get. And Tony, you mentioned practical effects. That makes a lot of difference nowadays, I think. I mean, when you can watch something and it just looks the way it's supposed to. When a guy gets smashed in the head with a hammer, that looks good.
It's that authenticity. It is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. So yeah, man, I would not have watched it had it not been for all my buddies like, okay, let's check this out. And boy, was I glad I did.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, hey, it certainly is authentic, and Cyber. I'll start with you first, just real quick with this question, and then you guys can jump in. Jesse, Tony. I can't. I want to say I firmly want to believe that. I think Jesse, you probably know the best. Jesse I believe that authenticity of the battle scenes of Braveheart was basically that is the film that kind of like pushed the boundaries on that to a point to where it became tolerable or acceptable, to where you probably don't get a Gladiator at least of the version that we get off without Braveheart.
Yeah,
right.
I'll hop in here real quick. Just say that was when I was watching it again. That stuff came to my mind. Like I was sitting there thinking, like, man, this is 95, and what you're watching happen here is something that you didn't normally see in a whole lot of movies. I mean, horror movies maybe, but not some epic historical drama, that's for sure. And it was the level of violence that was in this movie. I was like, it does feel like it's kind of like a stepping stone. There was some times where I was like, nowadays they probably would have took it a little bit further because they can. But like at the very end, when Wallace is meeting his end, we don't see a whole lot. Nowadays they might show you a little bit more. So there was some instances where they kind of kept the gore to a minimum, but I wonder if some of that stuff ended up on the cutting room floor because we just didn't see all of it. But I'll turn it over to you, Cyber. What was your thoughts, man?
All right. So basically, this film definitely led into a lot of those other epic, like films that are of this type of genre. Most definitely. I mean, I think Mel Gibson really, set a precedent when he made this film. But I mean, there was definitely movies like that were similar to this before this that were not as graphic, but definitely Braveheart was one of those first big epic films on the big screen that was truly, brutal, showing kind of the reality of what it was like, back in that time fighting and so forth. I mean, you have movies like Excalibur, you had films, like that of that sort that were R-rated and were, considered pretty gory for their time. But yeah, I definitely think Braveheart really set the precedent of like Oscar-nominated gore, really, because this movie was nominated for so many academies and won so many academies that, that set a precedence showing that, yes, you can make Oscar-worthy product with this type of brutality. So I feel that kind of did pave the way to Gladiator, most definitely, being an Oscar contender, an Oscar winner too, as well. With that type of, brutality.
Tony, were you aware before watching the film of, for instance, as Cyber and Jesse just mentioned, how well received this film was by the Academy, for instance, like how well it did?
I didn't know, not to that extent. I just knew that it won a lot of awards. I knew that it was one of those big movies that just stuck around because of how, nominated it was, but I didn't actually know like how many exactly and which awards it got and all that. That's really interesting. Like I didn't really think about it like that. I wish I looked into that because that's like really interesting.
Oh, well, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just going to say, I pulled it up here. So here's your 1996 Best Picture nominees. All right.
Cool.
Sense and Sensibility. Can't say I've watched it. The Postman, which I don't know. What was the name of the Kevin Costner movie? Was that The Postman as well? Because that's not this one.
That was Kevin Costner.
Was it Kevin Costner? Okay. All right. Babe. I know Babe. Babe the Pig. All right. Apollo 13. Go ahead.
So.
What's that?
I was just saying, like I was a kid, so I definitely saw that one.
Okay, Babe, definitely. Apollo 13, which is a great movie. Apollo 13 is fantastic, and Braveheart. And Braveheart won Best Picture of '96. So yeah, it's among some pretty good company in my opinion.
I didn't even know Apollo 13 was that old either.
Wow.
That one I did see.
All right, that's good. That's real good. That's real good.
Now, basically, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Jesse. I am. It did do very well from an award standpoint. Now, in terms of the budget itself was 60, it says 65 to 70 million on Wikipedia. The box office was 213.2 worldwide as of right now. As of right now in general. Which I mean, honestly, I don't know, Cyber, what do you think? I mean, how's that for a split for that time period?
What was that again?
I mean, 65 to 70 million on the budget, 213 in return in the box office total, 213.2. That's not that good, is it?
Well, really? At that time, that was, because don't forget, at around that time frame, think about the price of a movie ticket. Think about the price that it cost to get the bigger stars at the time, because they weren't making 10, 15, 20 million dollars a picture. They were making like around 1, 2. Yeah, I mean, some of them were only making like $500,000. So, I mean, at that time, 60 to 65 million for the budget, and then bringing it to 213 million was actually a pretty good feat. That was considered at that time a satisfactory box office draw. So, I mean, if it had been like, say, it only made like 160 million or like 100 million, then that would be considered a box office bomb at the time. But I mean, it brought in 213 million in 1995. That's considered a pretty good resolve.
No, I hear you, most definitely. No, you're right. And at the end of the day, look, the movie made money, right, for the studio. So I mean, and hey, I mean, honestly, I don't have. It doesn't give me the DVD sales or anything like that right here, but I'll pull them up. I'd have to imagine that the movie it still probably does okay, right, in terms of like I guess however you want to put it, overall long term, sales down the road, right? I believe it's got that kind of this prestige to it, right? It's not like a cult classic at all, because I mean, again, it was well received. It just, I guess, maybe wasn't. I'm trying to think of where Mel's career was at that point, and honestly, I want to say that Braveheart was his breakout. It really was. I mean, he directed it as well. So, right. I mean, at that point, I mean, this was his big director if anything, this was his big directorial. This is what broke him into directing right here. It's what solidified him down the road.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, and hey, as I've said before, like when we did Tropic Thunder, hats off to anybody that can star in a movie and direct it and then pull off a fucking good performance in both. That's some talent right there. Seriously, that's some talent in your craft. But essentially, I want to say that, basically the way that, and you know what, let me just start off. I want to go ahead and just basically give the basic Wikipedia summary and lay it out right now, just to basically like lay I guess like a baseline, in terms of the plot, quickly, just to fill in, just to kind of like, add some information right off the bat to allow me, I guess, to maybe just kind of, be quick as we go through the movie. So in 1280, King Edward Longshanks invades and conquers Scotland, following the death of the Scots King Alexander III, who left no heir to the throne. Young William Wallace witnesses Longshanks' execution of several Scottish nobles, suffers the death of his father and brother fighting against the English, and is taken abroad on a pilgrimage throughout Europe by his paternal uncle Argyle, who has Wallace educated. And years later, Longshanks grants his noblemen land and privileges in Scotland, including Las Prima Nocta. Meanwhile, a grown Wallace returns to Scotland and falls in love with his childhood friend Murren MacLenna, and the two marry in secret. Wallace rescues Murren from being raped by English soldiers, but as Wallace fights off the soldiers, Murren is captured and publicly executed. In retribution, Wallace leads his clan to fight the English garrison in his hometown and sends the surviving garrison back to England with a message of rebellion for Longshanks. Longshanks orders his son, Prince Edward, the little bitch, to stop Wallace by any means necessary, while he visits the French king to secure English's alliance with France. Alongside his friend Hamish, Wallace rebels against the English, And as his legend spreads, hundreds of Scots from the surrounding clans join him. Wallace leads his army to victory at the Battle of Stirling Bridge, where he decapitates the English commander Chetham. I believe it's Cheltham, and sacks York after Prince Edward fails to send reinforcements there, killing Longshanks' nephew, whose severed head is sent to the king. Wallace seeks the assistance of Robert the Bruce, the son of nobleman Robert the Elder, a contender for the Scottish crown. Robert is dominated by his leper father, who wishes to secure the Scottish throne for his son by submitting to the English. Kind of like I ended up submitting to She-Hulk that one night. Worried by the threat of the rebellion, Longshanks sends his son's wife Isabella of France, Wales, to try to negotiate with Wallace as a distraction for the landing of another invasion force in Scotland, in Edinburgh. As we're meeting him in prison, as we're meeting him in person, Isabella becomes enamored with Wallace. She was already enamored with him. She warns him of the coming invasion, and Wallace implores the Scottish nobility to take immediate action to counter the threat and take back their country, asking Robert the Bruce to unite the clans. Leading the English army himself, Longshanks confronts the Scots at Falkirk. During the battle, Scottish noblemen Mornay and Lachlan, having been bribed by Longshanks, withdrew their men, resulting in Wallace's army being routed and the death of Hamish's father, Campbell. Wallace is further betrayed when he discovers Robert the Bruce was fighting alongside Longshanks after the battle. Seeing the damage he helped to do to his countrymen, Robert reprimants his father and vows never to be on the wrong side again. Wallace kills Lachlan and Mornay for their betrayal and wages a guerrilla war against the English, assisted by Isabella, with whom he eventually has an affair. Robert sets up a meeting with Wallace in Edinburgh, but Robert's father conspires other nobles to capture and hand over Wallace to the English. Learning of his treachery, Robert disowns and banishes his father. Isabella exacts revenge on the now terminally ill Longshanks, who can no longer speak, by telling him that his bloodline will be destroyed upon his death, as she is pregnant with Wallace's child, and will ensure that Prince Edward spends as short a time as possible on the throne before Wallace's child replaces him. In London, Wallace is brought before an English magistrate, tried for high treason and condemned to public torture and beheading. Even whilst being disemboweled alive, Wallace refuses to submit to the king. The watching crowd, deeply moved by the Scotsman valor, begin crying for mercy on Wallace's behalf. The magistrate offers him one final task, asking him only to utter the word mercy, and he granted a quick death. Wallace instead shouts, "Freedom!" and his cry rings through the square. The dying Longshanks hearing it. Before being beheaded, Wallace sees a vision of Murren in the crowd smiling at him. In 1314, Robert, now Scotland's king, leads a Scottish army before a ceremonial line of English troops in the fields of Bannockburn, where he is supposed to formally accept English rule. Instead, he invokes Wallace's memory, imploring his men to fight with him as they did with Wallace. Hamish throws Wallace's sword point down in front of the English army, which is on our thumbnail. This is the thumbnail, basically, for our show. And he and the Scots chant Wallace's name as Robert leads them to battle against the English, winning the Scots their freedom. Now, the writer of the film is Randall Wallace. He wrote it based on the novel The Wallace by Blind Harry. So, essentially, just to start things off, Jesse, I guess the whole beginning, right? When you go through the entire, I guess you could almost say introduction, if you want. Yeah, it is pretty much the introduction that sort of adds the basic context of the entire rebellion, of what fuels Wallace to lead, right? And to the point where essentially where he, eye for eyes, right? I guess was it the magistrate? It's the magistrate, whoever it was that basically killed Murray.
Right.
So, before then, basically we have the secret marriage, which is beautiful. I love the music they play whenever they're together. Even in the dreams, I love that music. I do. It's great. The score was great, but I mean, we get some humor. We get introduced into some of the secondary characters, like Amish. His dad, whose relationship is great, right? It's awesome. And Even though it's really quick, it is a quick intro. I think it's well done. I do. I really think that it's the courtship's quick, everything and whatnot, but the way that Mel plays his character so well, the way he plays William Wallace, and the way that he sort of commands the scenes with her, you know what I mean? Like, and she's good too. You know, the actress that plays her, which I'll pull up right now. Now the cast in this movie is not well known at this point. When this came out, other than Mel Gibson, there really are no stars in this movie. I mean, other than, you know, not even really anybody. I mean, there is nobody.
Not easily recognizable. That's for sure.
No.
I mean,
I think Hamish's father was kind of
no, but that's the thing. There was no ensemble cast in this movie. This is Mel's movie, and like all the other characters were basically characters that really hadn't done shit. Like all the other actors and actresses, there was nobody out there really. I mean, there's nobody out there really that did anything at that point. That of any real.
A lot of the actors that were in this film were Irish actors, and they had done like Irish TV and Irish movies. But a lot of them were up and coming stars that would end up going on being really good bit players. We saw some of them. We saw one of them in Con Air, Colin Melanie. He was in this, and he was one of the Scottish guys. And I mean, a lot of the people in this, they were they were somewhat known, but they weren't super huge. Like Mel Gibson was known because of the Lethal Weapons. So yeah, I mean, a lot of them were up and comers.
No, and Angus McFadden that played Robert the Bruce. For a while there, I thought he might catch on. But even back in the day, I did. They did try to work. You know, even before this movie, he'd been put in a couple roles where they tried to kind of like made him a main character, and he did some fly. Brendan Gleeson did take off this. He did, right? Without question. And of course, you know, the actor that played you know, Uncle Argyle was Brian Cox, right?
Now, that's right.
Yeah. Now at that point, he had already done some shit and whatnot and everything. But again, he wasn't Brian Cox yet, really, at that point. But you know, Brian Cox. So you know, really at that point, I mean, you know, again, nobody would have even Sophie Marceau that played Isabella of France. I didn't know who the hell she was back then. I don't know who the hell she is. I've seen her anything since.
I still don't know who she is.
No. You know, and then you got Catherine McCormick that plays Myrrh and did such an excellent job. I've seen her maybe one thing since then. And I'm sure I would assume, Cyber, that probably a lot of them have just discontinued right on over in the UK or over in Ireland or whatever and continue doing films over there in Europe. And still to this day do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have done their native type of films and stuff like that. But Catherine McCormick actually became pretty popular in the early 2000s with a lot of films. She was in Dickie Roberts. She had her own TV show. She ended up doing a whole bunch of bit parts of movies and stuff like that.
Remember what the TV show was? Because I remember that.
I forget the name of it, but she played like a lawyer type of character or something like that. Or like a cop of some sort.
I'll pull it up. Oh, here we go, right here. She was in Spy Game, 28 Weeks Later. She did a lot of theater work. And she did, let's see, Braveheart, The Land Girls, Dangerous Beauty, Dancing at Lusna, whatever. Let's see, theater work, and then All My Sons and Anna. It doesn't mention their TV stuff right here. Either way, I'll figure it out. I'll find it. But no, Jesse, you tell me. You know, you pick whatever you want. Take as much time as you want. What you know? What stood out to you? You know, what did you? You know, now I'll go to you, Tony, and then Cyber. You can round it out. I mean, you know, what really, you know, what was your feel for it? I mean, did you think it was a good pretext that to establish a foundation to move forward and whatnot, and kind of that gave you the glue to where, you know, when we get dream sequences, when we see Murren and all that, that it really it's enough to you know to fuse that together and give that power. Yeah, and did you feel like also that you know that well, here, just, you know, have that. Just tell me what you think. What do you think of the whole opening?
Well, okay, right. You're right. At the beginning, we do get a great introduction to this character when we watch him as a young boy, and I'm sure that plenty of people back then, their lives were filled with violence and death, but you see that this really, really has an effect on William Wallace when he sees his, he goes with his dad, or he follows his dad. His dad didn't want him to go with him, but when he sees those men hanging from the roof of where they're living, that traumatized him. He has dreams throughout the whole movie where he's looking, I think initially at his, after his dad dies, he sees his dad laying there, dead, talking to him. So you get a good sense that William Wallace, from a very young age, was upset with the king's rule and knew what type of violence that the king could bring to his people. His beautiful relationship with his secret wife. That's a great story, especially when he finds out that she's dead, and they don't really focus on that, which I thought was interesting. You really don't get a scene of him finding the news. He just kind of rides into town and he's just deathly still, and it looks like he's about to give up, which is not the case. But yeah, he's obviously up to the point he didn't want to get involved with any of that. It seemed like he was happy enough to marry Buren and be on about his way. And then of course the King's Men come in and ruin all of that. That whole, I can't remember the name of it. The proclamation that the king says where the nobles can go and have sex with the wives before the husbands can on the night of their marriage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I was like, my wife was like, what is going on? And I said, you wouldn't believe what this custom is. It's just insane that was something that was going on around there. And just kind of like that clearly is wrong. It's wrong. And you cannot help but be like, okay, William Wallace, take care of business. Get these guys out of there. What
if it's bleeding edge style and you're actually just like training the chick for the husband? You know what I'm
saying? Oh man. You ain't right, Jeff. But yeah, I mean, this is a great introduction to this film. It's a great way to open things up. And yeah, I mean, you by the end of your first act, when you see that, okay, he's done with the king, he's ready to rally his people and he wants to be free. It's a great way to set things up. So I'll leave it at that.
Now, Tony, what were you feeling? I mean, as everything was carrying on, what was it like for you to have to watch Murren die the way she did?
I was watching it and I was like, he's gonna come in and save her, right? Like something's gonna happen. This ain't gonna happen, and then it happens. And I was like,
did it fuck you up when she looks for him?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, like she's like looking around, like where is he? Where's my husband at? And he just wasn't there in time, I guess. Who knows? Because he was all the way in the woods looking for where she was supposed to be. Yeah, I was sad. I was pretty upset. I didn't think that was gonna happen. So I'll be honest, like I have no like pretense to this movie. I didn't even know, what the ending was. So coming into it, I did not think that she was gonna die, and yeah, I was pretty devastated. And what he did, I was like, yes, like you feel good when he goes in there and like starts wrecking the place.
Well, what else? I mean, what did you think of feel free the whole intro. I mean, the dynamic with him courting, Murren, and some of it's funny. Some of it, there is some humor, but it's very, very fleeting.
I definitely like, it was believable, like, cause he comes in, he's a real charismatic guy. The way he came in, he was flirting with her and he was confident. He was confident enough to dance with another girl while he was looking at a different girl. So he was a charismatic character. I like that. How he was not afraid of this old friend of his, even though he was like twice his size. It's like, yeah, I'll throw a stone against you. So like he definitely had the confidence of of a leader. So I like that part. Like how I said, older movies, they just like sometimes didn't get it. So this one got it. Like you could definitely see this guy being, you know, the leader of an army because he definitely had the confidence and the charisma. That's what I felt from the beginning of the movie.
Okay. All right. And no, and Tony, as I mentioned to you in the private chat, for some reason you are just tailing off just a little bit. I never noticed that with you before, whatnot, and everything. But for some reason, you're just right when before you're at the end of your sentences, your audio is lowering down.
I just moved my mic closer to my mouth.
Okay. No, it's definitely. I don't know much about headsets. I've never worn one like that before.
Well, whenever you're broke and all you got enough is for one headset for like 10 years, you learn about them.
I had the old Walmart special for quite a while, buddy.
I've had this for a long time.
Maybe I should get one and try one just so I can be familiar with them and whatnot, and know how they work and everything and whatnot. Now that I think about it, I think maybe I'll do that.
Sound better?
Yeah,
you sound good, dude.
No. Honestly, like your audio is fine. Like I said, it was trailing. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's all, right at the end. I swear, and it's not every time.
My mic just gets a little tired.
You sound good though. You're straight. Cyberneticshark, my friend. What are your thoughts? I mean, what do you want to pull out of there? I have one question for all three of you about just individually, an individual question based off of the intro. But Cyber, what do you got? What did you take out of it? What stood out to you? Can you at all maybe even drop in something that having to do with maybe when the first time you saw it too?
I mean, the beginning of the film is probably my least favorite of this film. I didn't really care for it too much because I was looking for, like I said, when I went in, I was looking for the action. I was looking for, get your little bit of story in and get right to the action. So like the whole courtship, the whole, thing leading up to her death and stuff like that. It's okay. I mean, it's not horrible. It just wasn't really anything I really cared for too much. And I think that it does make sense. It does give, essence to the film, and it gives you that build up to why Wallace ends up becoming the way he is. And, dealing with his father's death and dealing with, we see him as a child and stuff like that. We get, all this kind of information that's all piled into this, big portion beginning of the film. Yeah. But I do love the introduction to, several of the characters like, Brendan Gleeson's character and all these other characters and stuff like that were kind of fun characters that were a part of the film. And going back to like the very first time I watched it, it was the same thing. I didn't care for that beginning too much. I found it a little boring at certain points until, of course, she gets naked. But but then after that, that's when it kind of starts to pick up after they're married and it starts getting into her death and stuff like that. And that's when the movie really starts to get really entertaining. And so that section of the film, like I said, it's still, even after watching it a few times now over the years, it still feels the same. It still feels that same kind of like, I don't mind it, but let's get to the other stuff as quickly as possible because I really enjoyed that portion of the film. And it just gets, it's well done, and I think Mel Gibson did a great job with it. But overall, I think it's just it's a basic beginning to the film to kind of give you that information you need to kind of get you set up with the story where it needs to go. And like I said, I don't think it's horrible, but at the same time, I just found it a little boring at some points of that. Like I said, there are some good parts to it. But yeah, overall, okay beginning, not too shabby then and now. And I mean, it leads up to, becoming one of the greatest films ever. You're muted.
Yeah, you're a little muted.
Cyber, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Tony, thank you. I'm not used to muting myself, obviously. But anyways, no, well said, Cyber. It is one of the goddamn best films ever. I mean, I used to pay attention more again to when I used to watch the news. I haven't watched the news in over 2 years now. I don't pay attention to. I really don't. I just, people talk about doing that shit. I just did it, and so I just don't. And I don't follow that much trendy stuff. I don't know the buzz on the street a lot of times. But if you go back, I remember when I would go back and look at top 20 lists and top 25 lists. Jesse, Cyber, Tony, we've all seen them. the top 20 films, you know, of the you know for the century, all that whatnot. I believe Braveheart's usually up there, isn't it? In the top, always usually in most of them. I'm most of the ones isn't it usually in the top 10, top 20.
I don't know. I'm like, I think all my lists are like super narrow, like top 20.
No, I mean, no, I'm talking about the big ones. I'm talking about the media ones. I'm not talking about mine or anything like that or yours.
I
Jesse
guess I don't
Cyber.
pay attention to that either.
No. Seriously, you know, I can't remember. Was Braveheart's not really considered a war movie at all? It's what is it considered? It's a
Drama.
let me look at it real quick.
The list you're talking about, Jeff, there are some of them Braveheart does pop up in.
Okay, I thought so. And let's see, the film is considered a. Let's see. All right, it is a epic historical drama film. Directed, produced by. I forgot about that. It is. That's right. His company produced it, and starring Mel, portraying Sir William Wallace. You know, a 15th century Scottish warrior who led the Scots in the First War of Scottish Independence. He was King Edward I of England. So, what I wanted to ask you, and I'll start with you, Tony, and then go to you, Cyber, and then to you, Jesse. What about the way that the young girl handles the scene where they pre-Nocta is initiated, right? The first time in the village.
Oh, okay.
And the way the husband handles it, right? And whatnot and everything, and how she tempers him, right? And like, you know, and literally like, you know, stops the blade and everything and whatnot. Now they slow-mode that heavily. Don't get me wrong, maybe too much. I don't know. You know, they a little too long with it. But I thought that young girl did a great job, and I found it to be very moving. I did.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard because you can go one way or the other, where she's either like really horrified and just scared for her own safety, or she's thinking about her husband's safety. If he does something stupid, you know, he's gonna get himself killed. So she's, you know, trying her best to just chill him out.
That's
That
all.
way
He,
he
that's
don't
all he
die.
was doing. Yeah, that's all she was literally doing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she did really good. I mean, it's sad. It's a ugly thing. I think so. This is something I wanted. I tried to look it up. That what was it called again? Nocturnum. What is it?
It's
I'm
called
getting the name wrong.
Pre-Nocta.
Pre-Nocta. I looked it up, and it says there's no like evidence that it really was ever put into action. So
Wow.
like it's kind of a like it's
Really?
there.
I've
Yeah,
heard
but it's
I've heard of it happening in other cult, like other time periods, whatnot too.
it,
Like
so it probably wasn't in Scotland at that time. Like I think that was one of the things that was off. But yeah, that was
well, right here. Braveheart was praised for its action, drama, and romance, though it was criticized for being historically inaccurate.
yeah, there was that was one of the things that I looked up that was because I you know like I was interested. I was like, what is that? So I paused the movie. I was like, what is and I looked it up and it said that, you know, there was no evidence that it was called into this time. And there was another one too that I'll talk about later, but
Hey,
the actress specifically, like yeah, she did really good. Like I think I would have chilled out and probably like, okay, I guess I don't want to die.
no, because I mean, honestly, that's the whole thing. All I'm trying. The only reason I find look, they're trying to convey to us really quickly, and again, it's a short intro. They're trying to convey sort of a sense of I guess it's fake. They're trying to convey a sense of like that of moral superiority, essentially, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? That you know what I mean? Like, you know, in a way, almost they're trying to
Yeah, okay.
they're trying
Yeah.
to parallel and make they're trying to create evil versus good, right?
Yeah.
The way, right? You know what I mean? You know, if I'm correct, Cyber.
Correct about what?
They're trying to convey evil versus good. That's the whole point of the scene. Isn't the whole deal supposed to be that they're trying to show that the Scottish are actually more moral? They have a better moral compass. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot, and like they're actually more like human or more like less tyrannical almost.
Yeah.
Or no, Cyber. I'm asking.
I mean, in all honesty, what I feel they're trying to convey was that the Scottish weren't what the English were making them out to be. So I guess, yeah, in a sense, evil, good versus evil, yes, kind of tying in together. At the same time, I think that there was a lot more to it than it just being good versus evil. Is more about them, showing that they were independent, kind of like how the United States became independent from Great Britain, during this, American Civil War. So
That's true. That's true. No, I mean,
the Revolutionary War.
No, you're right. No, again, at the end of the day, I mean, a major theme of the film is really, at the end of the day, Scottish independence, right? It really is. You almost kind of forget that, maybe, I guess, a little bit sometimes. At least I did. Sort of when I rewatching it, whatnot, I kind of fell off, and I found myself focusing more on the romantic aspects and more of this, Mel's character, like William Wallace's Betrayal. But no, but Jesse, what did you think of that? I mean, did that, if you don't think anything of it, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I found it poignant. I did.
No, it's a great scene. It really is, because this is kind of like one of the, well, it's another instance here in the early part of the film where you get to see kind of like the class structure of what's going on here, where you have the nobles, and now it's the English nobles that are showing up, and they're going to use this right. And it makes you think, like, what gives them the right? And that's the exact thing that's going through William Wallace's head. Like, what gives them the right to do this horrible thing? And yeah, her way of handling it, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head. The other thing is that I'm sure that if they were to fight back in any way, it doesn't just affect that village. It affects, everybody in Scotland, because at that point, the king can be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and raid a few more towns because of the insolence that happened here. You guys are not observing this right. She doesn't want things that basically lead to war. And that's, again, a central part of this film is like,
You're right.
just trying to deal with let's not go to war until finally we're like, okay, we've had enough. We're going to war. So yeah, it's a great scene to just, again, put that nail into that board that these people, unfortunately, most of the English nobles are they're just, they're not portrayed very well here. Not at all.
Tony, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I think I got it.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I got it.
No, the only other thing I wanted to ask you, and I'll go ahead and go to you, Tony, and then I'll go to you, Jesse, you, Cyber. What did you really think? What did you think that really what the essence was, or the concept was of them finally showing William bowing down to the parents? Because I felt like I want to at least mention them, right? Because I felt her. Hold on, I'm not done, please. Yeah. Anyways, no, I found that that I don't want to not mention them. The parents are great. They're a great part of the opening. They are. There's humor there, right? The thing with Wallace, when he shows up in the rain to take her and whatnot, and then when he's asked to go to the meeting, right, and he says, no, I don't want. I just want to, I want to have a farm and raise a child, a family, God willing, and looks right at the father, right? And the father says, no, if you keep proving whatever, you can court my daughter. But the answer is no. Didn't I just prove it? No, Wallace, no. I like that stuff. It was neat. But what did you think? Tony, what was it you think that they were trying to convey, or that William is doing right there when he sits down and on his knees in front of the parents, the father?
I think Mel Gibson or Wallace's character probably just felt like he failed them. He didn't protect her. And that was like kind of the one thing that his father wanted, was just to not get into trouble. And that's exactly what he did. And I'm pretty sure he was ashamed that he just couldn't protect her.
It's a double whammy. You're right. He fucking he went against what he said he would do. And then you're right. What, Cyber? What? Any thoughts?
Any thoughts on
you took from that? I mean, I think again, I find it to be powerful. I do, because I felt like, I mean, we talked earlier. Tony mentioned about how we don't really see him react from the death. They go right to the funeral, right from when Wallace, goes eye to eye.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it didn't really move me or, really did anything for me. I felt it was just another scene, basically to move on the story to where it needed to get. I feel that, it really comes down to showing that basically when you're at your end of your rope, you know, what else do you have to, lose but to, conform to what's happening to you. And so I feel that's kind of really what happened there with Wallace is, he realized that he was, going to be killed and that he just decided, hey, why the hell not, and like basically cause a fuss. So I think that, it's definitely, there is meaning to the scene, most definitely. But for me personally, I just felt it as another sequence in the film.
And I understand where you're coming from with that. I get that mentality. I do completely. There's nothing wrong with at all with just wanting to see those fucking awesome battle scenes because they're fucking goddamn epic. I'll tell you right now, they for me at freaking 13 or whatever. I was fucking like blown away. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like seriously? I never seen anything that violent or fucking like savage as shit and whatnot. Like as what goes on, or the weapons. I never seen maces being fucking smashing in skulls and shit and whatnot, everything, all that shit. That shit's crazy. But no, seriously, Jesse, he's broken at that point, right? I mean, he's just basically broken.
Yeah, there was a sense that I got, like, the reason he looked at her father and then knelt down, it was like he was like, you can go ahead and kill me because I was responsible for your little girl. And I don't know if he was expecting it, but you know that the father thought about it because at one point it looked like he was going to grab his hair, right? And like but then he was like, okay, it's all right. I understand. So I have this strange feeling, and this was not spelled out, but I got the sense that William knew that her father knew they were involved. And granted, it was a secret wedding, but I'm sure, as all fathers tend to do, they're going to find out in some way. And at that point, William's like, I failed you. I failed your family. I failed your daughter. If you want to kill me now, go ahead and do it. And I don't know if that's what was going through his head, but that's kind of like the honor that I felt that William Wallace had was like, I owe you my life because I could not protect your daughters. But yeah, he's a broken man for sure, dude. He's a broken man.
No, he is. No, and I mean, and honestly, I do believe, I feel that regardless of my opinion simply is I feel like that they did a great job of pulling off what they pulled off for that short period of time, because that really is a quick intro of giving you really the way that, but they do a good job of blending the secondary characters in immediately into the story, right? No background really, other than like the little bit they show in the beginning of the intro, right? That establishes the relationships, to some extent. It's a very tight internal film as far as like the relationships and the secondary characters. It's not a wide net, right? It's sort of there's it's not a vast layered deal with the characters, and the relationships are very simple. But so basically off there, which I mean, there's beautiful, the proposal's beautiful, the wedding's beautiful, but off there, we do basically end up getting essentially, Wallace et al., right? Then killing, I guess, the sacking the whole city, right? Like, he takes out, him and the rest of his, his rebellion. They go and they basically, show up and take out whoever's next in line after the magistrate, and basically essentially take over that whole citizenship or township, whatever that is, the area there. And just the rebellion continues to ignite from there. It just kind of just goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get a lot of jumping back and forth from scene to scene, right? Just a lot of kind of not super quick, but a lot of jumping back and forth, right? We get basically the first real meeting where we watch the king. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it Richard Harris that plays King Edward? I can't remember. I'm trying to think. Let me look it up real quick, actually. Either way, the king. Now he is. I have to pull him up real quick, but that actor is known. I want to just put that out there. I do know. I have seen him and stuff and whatnot and everything. That would be, of course, Patrick McGoogan. Patrick McGoogan, I've seen in other stuff and whatnot before Braveheart. I've seen him in other films. I believe he has had done some work to where he would have been known. But he definitely played the damn king well. And you get sort of the first. It's interesting watching the way he handles Wallace and the rebellion, his reactions over time, right, as things build up. And I feel like there's a parallelization there in terms of the strategic level, that William brings to the table, right, in terms of the battles and whatnot, right? But that's a big element of why they're good. It's his strategy, right? The things he picked up with Uncle Argyle. Right, and the Crusades and shit, and whatnot, and everything, whatnot, whatever he was doing and all that. I mean, he's sick in battle too. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's a strategist, and so's the king. Right? There's a reason why he's out there in that second big battle, running the fucking show, because he knows something bad's about to go down if they lose that one. It ain't good, right? He's got a good sense of the pulse of kind of what the fuck is going down, but he's slimy as fuck too, right? Like ruthless as fuck. Now, again, I think that's also inaccurate. To be honest with you, I don't think that's really historically real at all. That he was actually like that. It makes no sense. That would not work in the dichotomy. The pre-doctor, Tony, it's overdoing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you're almost asking for fucking like constant rebellion at that point.
Nah, it makes for a good villain though.
Nah, I mean, seriously though, that's
for the movie.
There'd be constancy. They'd end up having to kill everybody there. But no, but basically, so from there, we kind of we see him, the way he talks to his son, whatnot, everything, like he's a fucking like little bitch, you know what I'm saying, which he is basically, you know what I'm saying, like he's a little pussy. But then again, he's also mistreated, right, like badly by his father, right? And he is homosexual, which is of course not a problem for me, but back then that's not such a good thing, right? Especially if you're the heir to the fucking throne. So at that point he's weak as shit. And Longshanks don't like that shit. So it's interesting, and then seeing the princess for the first time too and everything and whatnot. And when we start to delve into her and her handmaiden little scenes and whatnot, she doesn't get a ton of scene time. She does a very effective job, I thought. But basically, we get that first meeting with Longshanks, the son. At this point, he doesn't see this as significant. This is just trivial to him almost enough to even let the son step in and handle it, which obviously he fucks up. Leading up again, eventually to basically, essentially the first time that we see the handmaiden, I guess you could call her, with Isabella, the princess of, from France, the king's son's, wife, that he doesn't bang, she's hot as fuck. And they're like, talking about like the rumor mill on like, the rebellion with William Wallace and everything and whatnot. And it's not completely accurate, of course, like all the stories back that you hear. It's all like overdone and over exaggerated with Wallace. And William Wallace is 18 foot tall. His sword is 11 foot long. It's all this shit. He kills fucking hundreds of people in a minute. Whatever, those some of those scenes, but but I mean, no, it's the handmaiden and her and she just like desperately wants love, right? Like, she just wants real love and like, like romance, novel level romance. And she ain't getting it from Prince fucking Wheat Bitch, beta dude, whatever, either way, she's, sexually frustrated, obviously. So, from basically that point, again, the rebellion just keeps on sweeping. And the whole time, other clans are joining. And then we get crazy ass Steven showing up, the Irish dude, right? He's dope as shit. You know what I'm saying? Just popping in, right? Like, what's up? Saves William's life when he's out there hunting and shit, kills the dude. He brings humor to the film I love. He's crazy as shit, right? All his scenes are great. He's just dope as hell. You know what I mean? He's so nonchalant about killing people. He's just like, I never liked them anyway. As he stabs them. You know what I'm saying? But this humorous though, because they sit there, they try to make it humorous almost as William is sitting there. There's so much shit was so different in the 90s, man. What you could do. But either way, in the meantime, in retaliation, Longshanks is having villages burned and shit and whatnot. People are getting killed. So we end up at that point where essentially, we do end up leading up to the first battle. And we also deal with, we get flushed out for the first time, that dichotomy of Robert the Bruce and his welfare father deal, right? And how he sort of like strangleholds him and commands him and whatnot, and sort of, that this is the way, right? Even though Robert wants to fight, right? The whole time wants to fight from jump. He wants to join the rebellion. So we get that, and then we get the scene where, which awesome. We'll bid spears longer than a man. Some men are longer than others. Oh, you've been hearing stories about me, huh, boy? From your mom, huh, boy? Or whatever, or some shit.
They had some jokes.
Yeah, it was funny, right? So, and we get the battle, that first battle, right? And, we get William showing up, and before we get to the first battle, I'll stop right there and just say, we get William dealing with the sort of like, the nobles, who basically are, basically just eating off, they're eating off of Longshanks and whatnot, getting paid off and whatnot, and just squabbling all the time over possessions, titles, and whatnot, right? When it's really, they're not even really squabbling. It's all bullshit. They don't want to fight. They're pussies. They're fat off the hog, off of bribes and shit. And William steps in and is like, nah, I ain't having it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time to fight. What's up? So Jesse Starcher, sir, your thought. I'm not going to give a sort of what part of the movie that would be, but I guess leading up to the first battle, there's the two major battles. They're very important. But this leading up to this first battle, which is very self-explanatory, what in there did you really take out? What anything you had to say about any of that?
Yeah. So this is the point in which William Wallace is obviously, he's ready to rally the people, get this rebellion together, and fight for freedom. But one of the largest hurdles that he has to get over is uniting everybody, and just like you said, get them off of the teat of the English. Well, if the English are going to continue to pay us and give us land and titles, then why would we want to squander that? And plus, from what I understand, the army, the English army's pretty stout. Why would we want to fight and die? We're doing well right here. So I remember him going in there and trying to convince these nobles of what he wants to do. And I remember, I had my wife there with me. I looked over, I said, the war is fun to watch, but it's the politics that really sucks. And he has to now get involved in this politics. And at one point he's just like, no, you know what? I'm leaving. You guys can go ahead and continue to squabble. I'm going to try and take care of business on my own. But he needs these people. The nobles are people that others look up to, but he doesn't care. Yeah. Well, you getting stuff ready? Are we getting ready for something?
Keep going. You good.
So, but yeah, that's probably the main thing I'm taking out up to this initial battle is now, okay, he started a fire. He's got to try and get everybody ready to go in order to fight for this, for this concept of freedom. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're slaves to the king. It's not exactly, what we would fully consider, hardship here, but legitimately they are, they are in service of the king, and the king can do whatever he wants to that land. And he cannot get it through these people's heads that you need to stop. You can't, we need to fight for freedom here. So that's really what I take from this first part as we're getting ready to get into the violence pretty soon. You're muted there, Jeff.
I apologize, Tony.
Is-
What your thoughts on that swath of the film heading up to that first battle? Anything you want to point out? All that
No,
caught your
no, I
eye?
think Jesse said it pretty good. Like, they start talking politics, and they can't really pick which way or the other, and he kind of gets tired of. He starts walking out the room, and I think they ask him, like, don't they ask him, like, where are you going, right? Or do they not ask him? I don't remember.
No, you're right. You're right. I think.
And he just tells them like he's gonna get something. He's gonna get something done instead of just talking all night. So he just sees that they can't decide what they want, and they're kind of just comfortable with doing the king's bidding, and he's not about it. So he's ready to fight. So
Well,
yeah, I kind of like that about him.
that's a simplistic, very kind of story and whatnot. The tropes are very simple. I mean, the whole thing is basically, overall across the film, these type of meetings and whatnot, and the noble bullshit, slowly over time is what builds up Robert's resolve to like finally tell his father to go fuck himself. You know what I mean? It's not complicated, right? But either way, was there anything else you wanted to add? I mean, before we get into the first battle, I mean, what did you think of sort of, I guess, the way that Longshanks was acted? Did you think that the actor did a good job? Did you feel like he was effective?
Oh, like I said earlier, like it makes for a great villain, like the actor, and then like what they wrote for him, like he was a really good villain. Like he was also confident and charismatic, but in the opposite way of he was just ruthless and had no mercy. Like they do repeat in the film, like later he has no mercy, and he's just wants to make sure that his kingdom thrives and it's not really worried about anybody else. Yeah, he's a really good villain.
Yeah, and you know what? They don't really show it, but I get this vibe from Jump that like he knows he's dying soon too. I do. That he knows that he's like that he's close to death. That he's like
Yeah, I did. I don't think I noticed it in the first couple of scenes with them. I didn't get it till I don't know if he coughed later in the movie,
he does.
but it was like midway through the movie is when I noticed like, oh, I think he's dying. But yeah, I think the first scene or two with them, I didn't get that, but maybe I just wasn't noticing.
Cyberneticshark, sir, what are your thoughts? I know that again, the battles are your big thing, but did you feel like you detected it all from Jump, kind of that Longshanks right at the bat sort of does give off kind of a hint? Not immediately, well, pretty quickly that he's not in a rush, but like, I think part of his the reason he's so disgusted by his son is that he's close to death and he knows that he's probably not well.
Well, it all comes down to, the storyline, how it basically approaches. From my understanding, this was, made up for the film. This like a lot of this stuff with his family and stuff like that. It was a lot more political than it was like how they make it on the film. What really happened with William Wallace and all that kind of stuff. But basically, I mean, I think that in that instance there in the movie, they were trying to give a little dramatization to this to kind of make it where there's a little more empathy for Wallace, than just like, oh, he was just some dude that decided to, break away from, his kingdom or whatever. And I think they gave that kind of in the sequence here just to kind of give you a little something extra to kind of push forward the film. And I think that everyone did a great job in the sequence. They all were really well acting. They had great conversations. It was really poignant. It really got William set to go on and start doing his crusade basically, and it definitely comes down to I definitely think that his father's dying. I definitely think that he's probably more harder on him because of kind of like not dealing with his own loss with things that happened in the past, but and at the same time dealing with dying and those things, it just compounds, and so you take things out on other people. So I think that it's a mixture of things with a father that kind of compound and result in the relationship he has with Wallace at this point, and leading him to push Wallace even further away. And that's kind of like what they were going for, and I think they did a really good job of bringing that to life and keeping the story very active to bring us into those epic war sequences.
No, and you have to in order to deliver the the story, to make it work, to make it, flush, he has to be horrible. He has to be fucking evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way around it. He has, literally, because think about it. He knows he's passing the torch to fucking weak ass, little bitch ass. I talked to chicks on Snapchat, motherfucker, over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't too thrilled about that. You gotta figure at that point he's thinking to himself, I've gotta basically just like thrash and burn, baby. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you logically would be doing, I'd be doing if that was my son and he was gonna be running the show, right? I mean, basically his dom was gonna be taken over. You know what I'm saying? Like, not him. But then he gets thrown through the window. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, later in the movie. Yep.
Yeah. No, actually, that happens before the battle, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
No, that was like after the second battle, I thought.
No, that happens after York.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it might have been after the first battle. Yes, I'm not sure, but yeah. Either way, though, yes, I do have something, Jesse.
Force was all over the place.
Oh man, I love that. That's awesome. So, Cyberneticshark, sir, the battle itself, right? What do you want to point out in that first battle? Overall, have at it.
It's epic. It's amazing. Why am I hearing myself?
Oh, my bad. Echo cancellation. I forgot.
Anyways,
I apologize, Cyber. I didn't mean to.
It's epic. It's epic. It's awesome. The fight sequence is amazing. The killing, the depths, everything about it is just fantastic. It's so beautifully crafted. The scenery, the horses, everything about it is just so much fun, and it's just awesome. And that sequence is just it riles you up for wanting more and more and more, and you keep wanting more, and that's just how epic it is.
Most definitely. And I'll come back to you in a minute. Cyber, if you want to, jump off anybody, feel free. But Tony, what did you think of that first battle, man? This is your first time seeing Braveheart. That shit fucking kick your ass or what?
Yeah, the battle was. I did not think it was gonna be such a brutal movie. Like I said, like being from like 95, right?
96.
96. I did not expect like so much blood and gore. It was really good, and it didn't like it seemed so good. Like the practical effects, like they were really good. Like he smashes some guy over the head with a sledgehammer. I can't remember which character did it, but like it looked like he really hit somebody's dude head with a sledgehammer. That was really brutal. The I don't know if it was just me, but like that horse moving back around, it seemed like he could not get that thing to stay like moving consistently, but it was just like zigzagging all over, like when he was giving the speech. But Mel Gibson, like he did not stop giving that speech. So if that horse was giving it, if that horse was giving him any problems, like he acted his way through it. The horse was the worst actor on that scene, if anything.
Jesse, what'd you think, man? What'd you get out of that first battle?
Yeah. Obviously it's the violence that's just comes right out of the screen to you. But as far as narrative goes, you mentioned earlier about how William Wallace is a thinker. And if you're going to lead people into battle, number one, cards are kind of stacked against them because these people do not. They do not want to fight. And of course, we just watched the rousing speech that he gave, but there's a strategy that he has because he knows that the horses are going to be deployed. And that's where the spears come in, the massive spears, so they can take out the horses. And then once the horses are taken out, they're able to go hand to hand with all these people, and the battle commences. And the thing is that this movie is 3 hours long, and these battle scenes aren't short. That's what's nice. You got a massive war going on, and it lasts a good bit. And I'm very glad that that is a portion of this 3-hour movie, because it just doesn't stop, and it keeps coming. It's relentless violence until people are on the ground squirming, trying to get up. It's good. It's good stuff. But again, it shows you the determination of the people to fight for freedom against these tyrannical English that are coming there to take their land and fight them. And they seem to be outnumbered, and lo and behold, they're able to make them retreat. English didn't have any idea what was coming. They're like, hey, let's get out of here. So they left.
No, I mean,
good stuff.
Even back in the day, it's very simple. You either had to be fucking crazy or a patriot, right? Or just a joiner, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever, whatnot, to even engage into a battle like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In real life, if that was the scenario and whatnot, outnumbered like that, right? Just no fucking clue, and just figure you're gonna die, right? Either you're fucking motivated to the point where you're fucking like, you know, getting all nationalistic on some shit, like, you know what I'm saying, like you're on some real shit, or you're just fucking crazy, like Steven, or like me, where you're like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? It seems interesting. Might as well. Right? And I like killing motherfuckers. Right? You know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you right now, if I was in Braveheart, I'd be, hey, fuck it. I'm gonna kill motherfuckers as many different ways, as many as I can, whatever. Fuck it.
Are you front line? Are you gonna be in the front line?
Yeah, bro.
That's where the crazy motherfuckers are.
I would be. I'd be right up there, bro. Jesse, when I played varsity football, bro, and as a freshman, dude, on kickoff, I stepped back 7 or 8 yards before the kickoff line myself, behind it, right?
Uh-huh.
No one ever said a word to me. No coach ever about it. So I could get more speed. So when I came down the field, I could drop as many motherfuckers as I could first before I went after the tackle.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And you know how you do that? Helmet to fucking helmet, baby. Just launching into motherfuckers. Right? So yeah, bro, I would be in the fucking front line, and I know
yeah. You belong there then.
Yeah, I'd be right there, bro. Right out there. Like, what the fuck? Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it, baby. If you're gonna do it, might as well do it. Nah, but yo, talk about some shit. Damn, this battle's nasty.
Yeah.
Again, can't show some of the funny shit, but we'll get the meat.
Yeah, the
Much as we can actually pull off, unfortunately. Our YouTube will get the YouTube gods.
it seemed like a lot.
Well, I mean, you know, YouTube gods would not be happy, so you know, they might even make me trim that. To be honest with you, a little bit. That's okay though. Now, for me, and that's all I want. I want to move on, but I mean, Cyber, real quick. When they show this, the part where you actually see the onslaught afterwards, and you actually have the fucking is there still an echo right now?
Hello? Nope,
No.
it's gone. It was just the first.
Cyber, when they show the slog afterwards after the battle, and you see all the fucking like people near death, or like that are mutilated, or like, you know, whatnot, and everything, you're just laying there in blood, you know, groveling and shit, whatnot, and all that and everything. That's just deep, right? I mean, that's some serious shit.
Well, I mean, to me, well, when I watch it, I look at it as just action. It's an art form. I don't see it as reality. So,
but it was right.
I know that this shit happened, but at the same time, when I know I'm watching a movie, I know it's fake, and so I don't get that feeling. I don't get that feeling with that shit. I just don't.
It's good to think that way, though.
No, go ahead, Cyber.
So, you know, no, I mean, I think it was awesome. I think it was epic. I think that showing all that just shows, it gives you a reality of what happens with that type of warfare back in that time frame. So, in a sense, yes, it is very, it's kind of a life lesson, but at the same time, it's a movie, so you know it's fake. So it hits people differently. Some people are more emotional about it than others, and I just happen to be one of those ones. I just, that's how I view it. I see it as
I firmly believe that Braveheart impacted my life deeply. I do. I won't lie. I think at 13 years old, looking back, I believe it did impact my life. I think there were parts of it, whatnot, that literally just the visually just connected me to. It made me understand things I just never could understand until that point, to seeing it. Right. And it affected me deeply at that. I remember as a child. I mean, again, I didn't just cry all the time back then, you know, only later on. You know, when I started to actually like maintain, you know, build, like play football and build those friendships with my brothers and shit, and whatnot, and everything. And, you know, I cried watching them graduate and leave and things like that. My girlfriend that was older leaving, I cried type stuff. The Braveheart fucking broke me my ass, man. Because I mean, seeing that violence, man, and then knowing that was a reality after like a battle of having people just laying there like that and shit, whatnot, is insane. I mean, Tony, I mean, when you see that shit, right? I mean, tangibly, you know that there's going to be a bloody fucking mess after a battle like that.
Yeah, I've always been like a fan of behind the scenes in like a film. So I mean, honestly, when I look at it, I just like think of the scale of how they got so many people coordinated to just like go at each other like that, and like it just amazes me like how they can do something so huge, like how many people could actually get hurt, like filming wise. I mean, I love movies, you know, like, and I do know that stuff like that like did happen, you know, way back then, but like I'm just looking at the movie, and the movie was so good. Like I
No,
just
no, that's a good point, Jesse. Tony makes a good point. I thought the same thing. Those battle scenes must have took forever to shoot.
Right, dude. Wow. I mean, I don't know how many people were on the battlefield. There had to have been.
They had extras in the freaking goddamn thousands, I think, back for that movie.
Jeez Louise. And
Probably,
I'm
yeah.
really, yeah, I'm curious as to how much like film of the battle didn't make the cut as well, you know, because I'm sure there's probably at least another hour of like footage somewhere where, you know, they just didn't use it. But yeah, man, it is definitely a horrific scene. It is a good way of showing you that, you know, this isn't just going to be an overview of these people clashing. You are going to be on the ground. You're going to watch limbs get cut off. You're going to watch people's throats get slit. This is the horrors of war. And you know, one thing I want to point out, you guys may have seen the meme. Or actually, I think it may have even been a poster at my job, but it's about how leaders lead. And there's a picture of a person sitting on kind of like a throne with like 10 people in front of him carrying him, and he's kind of got a whip. And then the below that is a picture of that same person, but they're out with the people, and they're carrying the load. So that's exactly what you get here. You get to see how William Wallace is a leader, because he is the one leading these people into battle, going out there, and he is on the front lines. So I mean, it's a great way to get across. Okay, this is our first really big battle, and he's right there. He's right there in the thick of it.
Excellent.
He's roughing it.
Yeah, and from there, and I want to move quickly here because I'm cognizant that we're at 1:38, so I'm going to speed things up a little bit and whatnot. Because let's be honest here. From the point of the first battle, that's really, 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 I mean, the suspense builds up to that, right? I mean, you know, we get more fight scenes, we get more action, we get another battle, but this is the victorious moment right here. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the most glorious you're going to get right here in Braveheart, right? Because after this shit, it gets dirty. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot, right? And there ain't no more big fucking victories anymore, really, at this point. You know, it's rough, you know, a little bit, you know, like, you know, the movie's still good, but it gets deeper, you know, more emotional and whatnot and everything. Right. And, at that point, really, you know, is when we do get, you know, the son, Longshanks' son, you know, saying, oh, you know, my buddy over here that's banging me, you know, doming me, is my new military strategist. And Longshanks is, oh, all right, cool. And he like throws him out the window or whatever. Yeah. You know, his son pulls a knife out of him, and Longshanks like bitch slaps him. You know, like and you know, whatever, because he's, you know, he sacks York. You know, which is, you know, a big thing, and sends the head of the fucking, I think it's the nephew of the king, you know, to the king. And so now we get, you know, our first dream sequence there, our only one really, I believe it, you know, And then of course at the end, of course, during the torturing scene, we get, him seeing Morin to the crowd. We get the dream sequence where he talks to Morin. And I'm going to ask you guys a question about that. But basically, from there, we get, we also do right after the battle. We get the council again, and William just flat out says when they ask him what he wants to do, and they're squabbling again, I'm going to invade England and beat the British in their own territory, which is what he does. Leading up to the second battle, but before then, again strategically, the king sends Princess Isabella as his agent, right, to buy out, essentially, right, to bribe William Wallace, knowing he won't be bribed, right, knowing that William lost his wife, right, he'll have a soft spot for a woman, you know what I mean, just not knowing that William's gonna put that snake up in that ass, right. So I guess he doesn't realize what was going down with his son and old window guy or whatever. I don't know, but whatever. I guess his strategy was only going military or whatever, or some shit. Or, I don't even know. But anyways, but I'm sorry, but even Jesse's laughing over here, bro.
I'm done. I'm straight. All right.
Oh man. So anyways, no, so the handmaiden shows up, to warn Wallace, right, about the fact that essentially the king has this all set up. He's got a whole army lined up in Edinburgh, when Wallace sends the message that he wants to challenge him in York, right? So, or Edinburgh, is where they end up having the battle. But basically, at that point, the handmaiden shows up to warn Wallace, and like flirts a little bit, and like Hamish kind of like kind of like smiles or whatever. I would have banged her personally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, seriously, she was hot, dude. Like, if I was Wallace, I'd be like, yo, real quick, jump my tent. She would have been down. He's William Wallace, man. Dude's 7 foot tall. Come on now. Anyways, so again, Wallace goes back to the council. We're gonna have the battle. Unite the clans. Unite the clans. And Robert the Roos wants to fight, and he's down. He's like, let's do it. Let's fucking go. Well, unfortunately, again, old leper ass fucking dad poisons his shit to where, he ends up joining up with Longshanks, and we get the second battle, which, they lose, right? Because, again, the two of the nobles get bribed, by fucking Longshanks. Longshanks is a dirty motherfucker. And, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, William's basically fucked. It doesn't matter what his strategy is. He's screwed in that second battle. He's done. Because from the numerical standpoint, in the context of this film, if they lose so many people on the battlefield, they're done. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, William's strategy for the second battle is completely based off of the belief and the firm belief that he's got these clans nailed down. Losing them, it's not even a fair fight at that point. And, you end up seeing what I thought was a very poignant, season where you see Wallace sense of betrayal when he sees when De Bruce is dehooded, right? When and that's really, I think, what shifts De Bruce is what really kind of like shakes him. Is that
that's what he says?
He's haunted by it almost, right?
Yeah.
It almost breaks him. You know what I mean? To have to fucking look at his face like that, whatnot, and that's hard, man. It's for any man, I would think, to shake another man's hand and whatnot, and pledge, to fight with him and whatnot, and then abandon him on the fucking battlefield, dude. That sucks, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that cannot be good, man. I couldn't even imagine it. I'd rather die, probably. That's why he basically goes crazy almost. You know what I'm saying? To some extent. But what y'all think? I mean, again, second battle, I'm not going to pull it up. Same violence, right? We do lose the father. We lose Hamish's father. And that is sad. It is, right? It's rough. And and I felt like that for me that was emotional. You know, their relationship I thought was one of the strong points of the film for me. You know, the scene, it was funny watching him pull the arrow out of him. You know, you take it, I'll hold him down. You take it, I'll hold him down.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, you know. No, the father just keeps on going no matter what. He's like a fucking machine. So like that kind of in a way, I felt like that was symbolic in a way that you lose him. It kind of gave you, you know, it sort of, you get guys where I'm going with it. It just gave you kind of indication of where things were kind of go. So, you know, going to that second battle, we lose, you know, you lose, and, you know, you end up having the guerrilla warfare that we talked about and whatnot. And we get William Wallace going and taking out them, a couple of them nobles, them 2 nobles, and killing their asses, right? Before he gets grabbed up. You know what I'm saying? You know, and set up by the Bruce's fucking leper father, basically, right? You know, and that's, I guess that is pretty much nailed in the coffin at that point. But either way, Cyberneticshark, sir, your thoughts, sir. I know that you really like the battles. Feel free, have at it with that second battle. There is a lot of really great action in that. We see more weapons, right? In that one, there's a great array of weapons. There really are. We see a lot of different shit. You know, I didn't mention, you know, the actual military, how things were fought back then. You know, for instance, in the first battle, the onslaught of arrows, the use of the shields, and how they would just kind of like hail on them, right? The Scottish. You know, Stephen was dope, right? He really was. He's like, my island, it's my island. You know, the Irish turn over to him. What were your thoughts on that whole second battle leading up to it? You know, anything on Longshanks, the son, the strategy of the use of Isabella?
I mean, in all honesty, like, you know, leading up to it, anything that had to do with Longshank is just a character you kind of like despise. He is one of those characters you're just kind of like, I could do or I could do without him. You know, I understand his place here, but at the same time, it's like, this guy is just creepy as fuck. Get him out of here. You know, it's that type of character. So, I mean, anything with Shake was interesting to watch because of the type of character he was. But at the same time, I think that you could have shortened that sequence to get to the next portion of the film. But at the same time, I thought that, you know, the actor that plays Shakes did an amazing job. He did a fantastic job. He really worked so well at playing that character to bring him to that level of where you're thinking, wow, this guy really is creepy type of deal. So I thought he did a fantastic job. But, you know, basically getting into that battle, I mean, yes, there was so many different new weapons you got to see. You got to see a lot more different types of depths. You got to see a lot more hand-to-hand combat versus like all the horses, which was kind of I feel that the very first battle was a lot of horse killage. If you notice, like really in the beginning, that fight sequence, it's a lot of horses being killed and stuff like that. So I feel this one's a little bit more about actual like man-to-man combat versus what that first one did. And once again, beautifully directed, beautifully executed. The scenery was amazing. All the weapons looked authentic. The fighting just looked so realistic. It just was so well conceived, that second battle sequence. It was just so amazing. And kind of after that little lull from the first, you know, fight sequence, this revamps you up to want more and more and more from this film. And it gets you back to that excited point to want to keep watching this film. And I think how they paced it, how they spaced it out was a really good idea, because it really did. You got excited, you had a little bit of lull, then you got excited again. So I think that they did a really good job with the second sequence and giving us this ultimate, another battle sequence that was just really well done.
I agree. I think that, you know, Jesse, I'll go to you, Tony. I think Cyber really called it on that one. He did. The actor, you know, basically Patrick McCoogan that played Longshanks, he really just killed it with the fucking character, because if another actor had come in there, Cyber's right. That he's so evil and so narrow. There's no, he only has one layer there. I mean, that's you know what I'm saying? That's it. And At that point, if you don't make it interesting, if you don't pull that off and do something with it to at least make it fun, make it entertaining, or not fun, but entertaining in some way, right? It's not going to work, right? I'm not saying the film fails. I'm saying that it probably doesn't win Best Picture or whatever it did or whatever, whatnot, without that element.
There is a point during the battle, and when everything obviously turns on William Wallace and he begins to realize everything's falling apart, that our King Edward I is so confident and so swarmy in the fact that he's going to win. And he just looks over at whoever his second in command is or whoever it is. Shall we retire? And I was like, gosh, I want to see this guy get a pike through the face. Something's got to happen to this guy. And boy, I thought something was too when William took off after he'd been shot, with an arrow. He gets on a horse and he's taken off after the king. And of course, we get the big moment, which I think is probably one of the most shocking moments of the movie, when they dispatch one of the king's guard to go after him or stop him. And they get into a fight on the ground, and William takes the helmet off, and there it is. It's Robert the Bruce. And at that point, everything just stops, including William Wallace. He realizes that his country that he is fighting for is, they can't unite enough to where the people that he thought, the person that shook his hand and said, yes, I'm ready to go to battle with you, was the one that just tried to kill him and is wearing the colors of, England. It's what a moment. What a moment.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, honestly, Tony, if you want to bounce off Jesse, that's fine. You can, if you want to mention, please, if you have any thoughts on, thoughts on Longshanks and how, well, what do you think? I mean, do you think that without, the actor selling that character so well, maybe the film's not of the quality could have been?
No, I think, every good movie, like, you got good characters, and then what is it? Either way, he was a really good villain, and I think all good movies have you good hero, your good villain. Like, that's just what makes a good story, Batman and Joker, like, just something about, like, the opposites. Like, what he did in the battle is he told the archers to shoot into, the men fighting, and even one officer was like, won't we hit our own guys? And he said, yes, we will. Like, he just didn't care. He was just, like, such an evil guy. Like, you just really didn't like him. And I thought the same thing as Jesse. I thought whenever William Wallace goes out there, he starts chasing them down. I was like, oh man, we're gonna see something. He's gonna take them all out. He's gonna fight them. But go and you front flip another horse with that lance that he did. I was like, oh man, how many horses are just like those horses didn't get paid enough in this movie.
Hey, and there was no pay to bullshit because they were all robotic.
Oh yeah.
And all the ones that they get killed with the spears and shit, whatnot, that was all robot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there are stunt horses. I was like, I know that there's.
Oh, they're there. No. But when in the big battle scene with the spears, and whatnot, I think that's all. Not what is the word? Not robotic, but
dummies. You could call them whatever. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. But I just like that was like another scene where that horse like actually like front flipped, and I was like, holy moly.
I watched back in the day, back when this movie came out, that same year or whatever, the year after on HBO, remember HBO used to play the making of the films.
Yeah,
back in the day, I watched it, the making the Braveheart, whatnot. So I watched how they shot the scenes and whatnot. I don't remember a lot of it.
I wouldn't mind checking that out.
Yeah,
but,
no, go ahead.
I did not expect Robert to Bruce to be under that helmet. Whenever that scene popped up, I was like, oh come on. And he gets down on his knees, William Wallace. He's like heartbroken. This is out of all those nobles, this is the one guy that he told him, like, I see something in you. Like he actually thought this guy was okay. out of all of them. Like he didn't care about none of them. He told this guy something positive, and that's the one guy that is like actually attacking him. Like is actually like getting paid under the table by the king, or however you want to say it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was rough. That was pretty rough.
No, but at the same time too, Jesse, right? He says the same. Does the same thing with Isabella, Queen Isabella, right? He says the same thing basically. He says, "I see something in Murren in you," and I felt like before we kind of wrap this up and get into the unfortunately the gruesome emotional parts there at the end, I felt like look, I don't want to say that some of this stuff was contrived a little bit, like just kind of too easy, like at times, but it is. I think Cyber's already alluded to that, what I'm saying, whatnot, right? It's a great epic film, but it does have some stuff that's kind of just a little bit too simplified almost, right? If I guess that makes sense. Now, but I feel like Jesse, Mel killed it, man. When you mentioned it, when that scene, when he looks at the Bruce, his facial expressions, the way he played that character, man.
Yeah.
And then the reaction of the Bruce to it was powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And there's other moments throughout this movie where I mean, Tony, you mentioned it. He was on that horse and he didn't break character. He rallied the troops. So what a credit to an actor. But I think honestly that is the moment there where when he just realized, you can see it in his face, that he realizes that everything he has fought for has been just thrown away because people cannot understand. Not only that, but he's betrayed. But they can't understand that if you want to be free, you're going to have to fight for it, and nobody wants to fight for it. So yeah, I was just looking just to see if there was anything in as far as Academy Awards went in regards to acting. I don't know if he was nominated or not. He didn't win any Academy Award for Best Actor or anything, as far as I could tell. But still, I mean, you got to think about what's on this plate for this movie for Mel Gibson. You're directing the movie and you're acting in the movie. That's a pretty big. That's a pretty big role to have for a film that you want to be successful and it ends up being really successful. You know what that means? That means you did a damn good job. A damn good job.
No, most definitely. Cyberneticshark, sir, do you have any final thoughts on that second battle leading up to it? Before we head up into kind of the final junction of the film?
Nope, I have nothing else to say about it. Just the only thing I got to say is that this was nominated for 10 Academy Awards.
Which I'm going to pull up right now. There you go. And what we got right here is, of course, cinematography. I think that's no brainer, probably, right? Batman Forever was actually in there. Wow. Jesus Christ. Costume design. That we got a nomination there. Directing, Mel.
And he won.
Did Leaving Las Vegas come out that year too?
95.
Film editing.
Thought Leaving Las Vegas was 96.
Okay, was it? Yeah. You're right. Same year as 7.
No, 7.
Was 7 95?
No, 97.
97. You're right. Okay. Makeup, Braveheart winner. Music. Braveheart got nominated.
Got nominated for 10, won 5.
Best Picture winner, Braveheart. That's a big one, right?
Yeah, Best Picture.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, The Postman is not the fucking Postman with goddamn fucking.
No, it's not. It absolutely isn't.
I'm about to say, you fucking kidding me, bro? What the fuck happened there, man? I mean, seriously, The Postman didn't even come out that year.
Il Postino. I don't even know what that is, man.
I do. I just never watched it. It was a foreign film. So that's pretty much it. Did they get sound? Oh, Apollo 13. I can see why Apollo 13 would have won that. This is a pretty weak year for films. I mean, to be honest with you, compared to some other ones with our reviews.
Oh, maybe that's why they won. I'm just kidding. They
No,
deserved all
dude.
those.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I was kidding. They deserved all those. It was really good. Like the music, you mentioned the music before. It was really good musically. I just thought the scenes were shot really good. I don't know if they did some sort of like HD update or whatever, but when I was watching it on, I was streaming it and the picture's really good. So I don't know how they shot it back then, but the picture is clear.
Yo, Usual Suspects is going on the list, Cyber.
Yep.
Got to. Usual Suspects. Until you know, Lost Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, too.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yep. Fucking good ass movie, man.
Snatch.
Got to do Snatch after that. Yep. Got to. No, because we were talking about Dead City, me and Andres on Monday night, and couldn't help but mention Morgan from Walking Dead being in Snatch, right?
Even Las Vegas was 1995 because Nicolas Cage won Best Oscar in 95.
Oh, okay. He did. Yep, that's right. Oh, yeah. All right. Man, that's a good ass film, dude. Holy shit. I'll leave Las Vegas. That's another one that's gonna go on the list, man. Leaving Las Vegas is a depressing damn film, and it's a good fucking movie, man. That might be Nick Cage's best. It probably is. Well, hey, maybe that's why he won, right? Almac PM. Who is that big avatar person behind Cyber? Oh, that is Cyber's illegitimate son, William Wallace. He's getting ready for Halloween. You know what I'm saying? Prematurely, like we talked about earlier in the show.
It's Mel Gibson. Hello.
Can you imagine
that movie did make me cry, by the way.
Which one? Las Vegas?
No, the new Avatar movie.
Oh, I'm not even gonna watch it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought you would recognize it, Almec PM. It's my porn star look.
No, that's fine. No, honestly, Tony, if that's fine. What your opinion is, what you love is dope, man. I'm just me personally, bro. I hate James Cameron. I think he's a fucking asshole. I could care less what he does or doesn't do. I ain't watching this shit. Fuck him. Anyways, no, I don't like him personally. He cop blocked me one time, everything, and I was trying to bang one of those Avatar people, one of them alien fucks, and no, I'm just kidding. Anyways, what do we got? What is this? What? Oh, come on now. That's Cyber High School? Okay. What are you hanging out with the manager of the free crack party, after party hotel that me and Cyber went to?
What the fuck is a Buck Chad?
Oh my god, Albert's talking shit.
Albert, Chad.
Albert, you want to come talk some shit? Come on the bleeding edge and come on the panel. I'll talk some shit with you, man. I'll bury you in 2 seconds.
It's somebody we know, Jeff. I just forget.
I know. I'm messing with him. I'm playing around. He knows it.
Are you? You don't seem like it.
No, I'm joking. You can't bury somebody with shit talking. It don't work that way. Anyways, if you just keep shit talking back and forth, it just ends up being stupid. Like Kevin, anyways, Kevin, peace. This is Kevin's 1 year anniversary. I'm gonna play it in Cyber. I'm gonna get the clip from Kevin so we can put it up one of these days. Oh God, the Prime Minister. Okay. Anyways, no. So basically, coming off that, we get the end of the movie, and basically, we get, of course, unfortunately, pretty predictably, William getting snatched up, right? Now, I personally, we see scenes, where when he's in prison, where, Isabella comes in to talk to him, whatnot, and everything, and she tries to, to beg him to plead to whatever, whatnot, everything, to be spared, have his life spared, whatever, some shit, whatever, I don't even know. Doesn't she give him poison? I think.
Yep.
Yeah, she gives him poison, whatever, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good, baby." You know what I'm saying? I'm a vegan, so anyways, but either way, at that point, we do sort of get the, I guess, the scene where we get Longshanks dying almost basically on his deathbed and being told that yes, William dropped that D up in Queen Isabella. Surprisingly, what a shock. He's like, your son won't rule long and whatnot, which probably, yeah, I mean, probably the baby will be born at 3 years old will probably take over, right? Like it'd be like Grogu, but human version. So, but no, it's deep though. I mean, what happens to William Wallace, I couldn't even grasp it as a 13-year-old. I did not even understand some of the stuff that was going down. But I knew it was bad. Now it was powerful. I remember watching it as a kid, and it still is now. That scene, the way they shoot it with the, where you do see him fight in front of the actual English citizens, whatnot, and they're pleading, for him to beg for mercy and whatnot, just because of him fighting through the torturing. Was powerful. Him crying freedom, powerful, right? That just for me, I think that's what broke me when I was a kid. I just, the floodgates opened up at that point, right? Again, I'm older now. I didn't cry now, but very powerful. And that's of course what leads to then Robert the Bruce telling his leopard dad to go fuck himself, right? And then decide that he's going to be like, you know what? All right, we're going to go to the battle, and do our usual bullshit and whatnot and play games. But then I'm going to be like, yeah, what's up? You bled with Wallace. Now bleed with me, bitch. Let's do it. Which I love that shit, man. That's a great fucking line, dude. Right? Very simple, very short, but very powerful. Right? And hey, Amish comes out and throws that sword up in the air, man. Fucking A, dude. Right? Sorry, do I have shit on my face? Is there some nut left on there from when she came on my face earlier?
No.
Okay, I was making sure. Anyways, no, but so Cyberneticshark, I'm speaking to you anyway. Sir, what are your thoughts on the the final part of the film? Did that at least, did you feel like that was conveyed well and serviced the film well?
Did it serve it well? Yes and no. I think that I don't think really to me it didn't really matter. I think all in all the film itself just was so fantastic and so well done that I just really appreciated it. I just really enjoyed it. I thought that everything about it was interesting and fun. And I think that overall it just that whole end section of the film, I think, is just, at a certain point, you're just like, wow, this really sucks. What happened to William Wallace for fighting for his freedom, and that he ended up getting, having to be killed because of what happened. And, the fact that the poor guy got quartered, got hung, got, everything that you could possibly think of at that time happened to the poor guy. You're like, wow, this is just like, you made him more of a martyr than he made himself. So it's like, all in all, it just works out really well. It gives you an overall good aspect of what happened, during that time frame.
Okay, I think that's well put. Jesse, What are your thoughts, sir? Anything you want to pull out of there? I mean, no, I didn't. I let me also mention that we do see Murren again come through. I did like that touch. I did. I thought that I don't know if at the same time I thought to myself, wait a minute, does this trope really work in this movie? Like, I mean, what does it make sense to insert this in here? But I liked it.
Yeah, I mean that's his childhood love. We mentioned at the very beginning where his father and brother got killed, and there was a young girl there that gave him a flower. And we didn't really mention this, but it's a really important kind of part of the film that brings those two together, where she gives him a flower. Now she couldn't be she's obviously younger than him at that point in time. He's probably like 10 and she's like maybe 6 or 7 or something, pretty young. But she picks the flower, gives it to him, and then many years later, he gives it back to her. So it's like there's that connection. That was his first love, and that's the girl that he dreams of. So seeing her at the moment of his death is her, welcoming, essentially coming to get him, because she's been dead for a very long time. It's the way I looked at it anyway. But it means a lot. There's a couple big moments that happen here as we get to the end of this film that I definitely want to speak about. When we first see King Edward, make sure I got that right, King Edward the First, right? When we first see him, I think one of the first things he says is he's so upset about the Scots. He's like, you know what we'll do? We'll breed him out. And that's where he brought back that custom. So what happens? Yeah, what happens here is when she leans down as he's dying, and it's so great that he can't talk. He cannot speak.
Yeah,
because of the disease that's ravaged his body. And she leans into his ear and says, I'm pregnant with a Scotsman's baby. And that's great. What a way to just she didn't even have to drive a knife into his heart in any way. And it's not the case. She just did it with words, and it's great. And William Wallace is meeting his end. You do not see a thing with how they're essentially disemboweling him. They are. I've seen the torture devices, which I swear to goodness, I've seen there's a crank or something involved. But I mean, it's gruesome just to think about, and that's a very good part about this movie. With all the brutality that we've seen, they leave that kind of up to the imagination. Now, granted, I don't know how things would have looked back then if you could have shown anything like that in 95. I'm sure you probably could have got away with something, but regardless, all you got to see really was just the pain and the anguish and the suffering on William Wallace's face. And is he going to break? I mean, that's the thing. Just kiss the seal. All you got to do is kiss the seal and ask for mercy. Is he going to break? And he doesn't. And that's what William Wallace's legacy and inspiration just continues on, especially at the end where you mentioned Robert the Bruce. You bled with Wallace, now will you bleed with me? Which my understanding was that was going to be the king coming out and bringing some troops to support him, King of England, I should say, to support him. And so it was like, oh yeah, hey, it's going to be a great time, even though I've got all these people behind me that have watched what occurred to William Wallace. Now I get to be king, and he just straight up throws it in the trash. He's like, nah, you know what? You guys, let's fight instead. And I could have just imagined the English on the other side, just sitting there like, oh, hey, they're going to come down here and we're going to have a little bit of a ceremony. That's not what happened. So it was a great way to end the film, and loved it, man. This was a great one.
No, and Almac, you're right. That's exactly what they did. They could have shown some of that torture. Why not? Look at the shit we saw during the friggin' battle scenes. Right. That was purely done cinematically, whatnot. It was planned to be done that way so that you would, to reflect on the crowd's reaction and the other characters' reaction to just his cries and whatnot, and everything, the sounds he made, and that was enough. That's all they really needed. Right, Tony? I mean, and what did you think of Tony? Tony, what were your feelings? Your first time seeing Braveheart? What was it like taking in that whole ending?
Well, there's like a lot of good things. I just want to throw one bad thing in there, just like a little baby negative thing before I go into all the great stuff because there was a lot of good stuff and I just don't want to seem negative later. So the scene where the princess is whispering into the king's ear of what really happened. The prince is like, well, he's like what, 5 6 feet away, and in my head I'm just thinking like, how loud is she whispering? Like, can the king only hear this? Is she being really quiet, or like because the prince makes a face but you can't tell if it's a face like he hears her or he just like is just wondering what she's saying because like you can tell like that the king is pretty upset by whatever she just said. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's kind of weird. I can't tell if he can hear her or not. And it's just like I just feel like it's not something you should leave up in the air if he can hear or not. Like you should make it obvious that he can or cannot. But it was besides that, it was really good. I didn't even see that thing that you were talking about, Jeff, where it basically went full circle where the king wanted to breed them out and instead this got her pregnant, and that was pretty awesome. Um, but besides that, like the whole torture scene where he's just like taking it and taking it, they made that scene so tense and last so long. I was just, in my head, I was like, just please die already. This is it's so brutal. Like he just did not want to give in. And it was so much tense. I thought something was gonna happen. I was like, scene is lasting so long, something's gotta happen, but nope. He just eventually he did die, and he did the freedom thing, screamed it out, and I like the quiet right when he said freedom. Like everyone was just like you could tell like it meant something to even them, even though that they were British or English. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I really did like that ending scene. And the whole Robert the Bruce kind of just deciding that he did want to actually take that side of going fighting for his freedom. Yeah, that's I looked into the Robert the Bruce thing. So I don't know if y'all seen.
They made a
Apparently,
movie. They made a movie in
yeah, they made
2019.
it. Yeah, they made a movie in 2019. Same actor, Robert the Bruce.
I know, I never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nah, I'm not gonna watch it either.
Same actor plays the same guys, but I
Nah,
don't know if it has to do anything with Braveheart. But
if I didn't hear about it, then it ain't good.
It's a sequel. It's a sequel. The sequel to Braveheart. Robert the Bruce.
Yeah, well, it was it was straight to fucking video, baby. And there wasn't even no video anymore. So what do you fucking do at that point? All right, Tony, give me a rating on the movie, baby. 1 to 10. What you got?
1 to 10, I would give it an 8. There are just a couple problems. I agree with Cyber. There's a lot of fat they could have cut off the movie, and it would have been shorter, and the story would have gone through just as well. I think. And then there's just just a couple like
There's
I was
holes.
talking about the end. Yeah, there's a few holes, but I mean it's like really really good. There's so many good things about it. Like it has to have a high score, but it's definitely not a 10 out of 10. Like there's just a couple of things here and there, but yeah, there's some really awesome scenes. Like the scene where he assassinates that dude in his own bed with a horse in his room. Like the most metal scene I've ever seen in a
Wow.
movie.
Way to
Right,
describe
dude.
it too.
Yeah.
Right.
Way to describe it too. Oh shit, Almec, you coming hard, huh? No, Almec, what's up? How you doing? It's good to see you again. Almec was with us a couple nights ago. Whatnot. I can't remember what we were reviewing. But he was in here and whatnot and dropped some pretty good shit. Cyber, what you got, man? I mean, are you only going to rate the battle scenes, or are you going to rate the whole movie?
Well, let's see here. I'm going to rate the battle sequences all 10 out of 10s. Overall, the movie I would give a 9 because just like Tony said, yes, definitely they could have trimmed a little bit of fat off of it. I do agree with that. So I have to give it a 9 out of 10. Otherwise, it is a perfection of a movie just by those wonderful battle sequences alone. The music, Mel Gibson as the lead, his directing, it just all is a beautifully well done film.
Most definitely. And Taylor, honey, you're at 9.75 right now. You look hot as fuck. I just want you to know. You look good as hell. Anyways, Jesse, what you got, baby?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Cyber here. It's a 9 for me. I did revisit this in installments, 2 installments of an hour and a half each. So it was kind of nice to get it in those bite-sized chunks, which made me, I tended to appreciate it a little bit better that way for some reason. 3 hours is a big investment, but you know, this movie does a great job of keeping you interested. It does a great job of keeping you entertained. So yeah, I'm going for a 9 out of 10.
See, now the only thing I can honestly say is that I get I don't think you guys are wrong at all. Maybe they could have cut some stuff, but I don't think you would have cut it from the beginning at all. I thought that they actually handled well pace wise. It was probably in the middle, in the end, is where you probably could have cut some shit out. Cyber, would you agree?
No.
No, you think the intro was too long?
I think it needed to be trimmed throughout.
Okay, thoroughly. Overall, they could have cut.
Yes.
They could. I got you, Jesse. What do you think? Do you think that the intro had a good pace to it? Whatnot? They did a good job with that. Then it kind of.
I've kind of been struggling, like trying to figure out what I would cut, really, because you have to establish a few things, and maybe if you're trimming stuff, you trim a few things off of the relationship between him and his significant other, Murin. I can't remember her name. But maybe some of that, maybe some of that, but you kind of also have to establish the politics. But a lot of these scenes didn't feel wasted to me. It did feel like they were all kind of necessary. So the thing is that it's a 3-hour movie, and I think that's why it stops me from giving it a 10 out of 10, because it's like, daggone. But then I'm sitting here saying, well, you couldn't, it all felt necessary. So I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I'm not going to be able to answer it.
No, I can't either. And I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I don't give a fuck.
Do it.
There you go. What do you think about that, Matt, motherfucker? How about that, bitch? 10 for 10, baby. You feel me? Anyways, bro, I'm just playing with you. Tony, what do you think, man? Would you agree with Cyber? Would you trim a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I do. So I don't think it's cutting scenes out so much as some scenes just lasted too long. Like the whole scene with the funeral scene that you're talking about. Yeah, you need to have some sort of connection with that girl in the beginning. But I think like that scene was probably 2 minutes too long. There was too many long pauses. Like, it's just unnecessary. And not just that scene. There was a bunch of scenes throughout the whole movie where it just was lasting too long. And I think it could have even if you just cut 10 minutes of just a piece of a scene, like I think it would have made a difference. Like it was just slightly too slow paced.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
yeah.
I guess as a kid I didn't notice it, right? You wouldn't probably, right? But again, probably the way things are nowadays. If my son watched this, it'd be like Oppenheimer probably. At the end, he'd probably bail, kind of like out till the end, till the stuff with William getting tortured. Because when I went to see Oppenheimer with my son, which can't wait to talk to Cyber about Oppenheimer. To be honest with you, I can't wait. On a personal note, Cyber. And talk about a certain somebody that's also gets nude in that film. That's pretty fine. But no, honestly, I don't know what you trim other than maybe the leper scenes, the leper dad scenes with the Bruce. I thought that shit was stupid. Kind of didn't really didn't have any the weight that other stuff did. But either way, folks, Ahmad gives us a 9 out of 10. Ahmad seemed pretty critical to drop a 9 on it, but hey, I appreciate you for coming close to me. That's almost close to 10. So that's 2 away from 10, right? 9 to 10. 2.
I think it's just 1.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding. I can do math. No, I'm just joking. But Jesse, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to my son there. I tried to mute myself. Apologize.
You're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. But anyways, folks, no, we're done. Braveheart's done. We will not be using the word Braveheart again anytime soon. Other than that missed opportunity to bang that handmaiden, man. You know what I'm saying? William Wallace, you fucked up with that shit, bro. And Hamish, what the fuck, dude? You could hit that. You could have double teamed that shit, right? So what the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? Just
The old Scottish sandwich.
Seriously, you could have replaced a bunch of shit and just had that. Just had fucking Amish bag that shit real quick.
Right, man.
Anyway, so as far as plugs go, I guess I'll go ahead and pull up Cyberneticshark first. Cyber, my friend. I'll pull up your YouTube channel really quick. If I can find it. No, I'm just kidding. It's right here. It pulls right up amazingly. When you hit C, the first thing you see is Cyberneticshark, maybe. At least for me, anyway. I don't know about you folks. Cyberneticshark, sir. What's the deal, baby? What's going on? Oh, I don't have your shit pulled up. Screen share would probably help, huh?
That would help.
Well, hey. There you go, brother. Have at it, my friend.
So as always out there, if you enjoy me here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, definitely go check out my solo content underneath Cyberneticshark. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is now called X.
X.
You can find me pretty much on any social media platform. If you want to watch some videos, go to YouTube most definitely. As you see there, I recently have the Wonka trailer reaction up there for you guys, and of course the Napoleon trailer reaction. Both movies coming out this year. Definitely go check those out. We'll be having more stuff up soon. Just got to edit and get them all ready for you guys. Definitely check out the shorts. I just recently reviewed the 4 original Batman films, so definitely check those out. Currently holding at 686, and you could definitely hit that subscribe button to get me to that magical 1,000 people. But yeah, more stuff will be coming soon.
The Batman Returns, baby. Oh
yeah.
Man.
Hey, remember, Forever got that nomination that you didn't
God.
appreciate.
I know. I mean, seriously. Maybe she got some nominations. It should have been Batman Returns, man. Shit. Michelle Pfeiffer's the best Catwoman ever. Certainly better than freaking the Catwoman we got. I'm sorry, but she did not, whatever her name, the Zoe Kravitz chick did not handle her business in the Batman film.
Yes, Almac. You can find me on OnlyFans as well.
Almac, you went there, brother? Seriously? Oh, God. Look, Cyber has nothing to do with the MCU's Bleeding Edge OnlyFans page that's on its way, coming soon here. Almac, that's all me, bro. I'll take full responsibility for it when it drops and everything and whatnot. I'm actually working on a deal right now with a local strip club to partner with us in the Bleeding Edge. I was down there the other night, whatnot, doing some negotiations in the private area, the private area. The one beyond private, because I only go to that section. You know what I'm saying? I skip the other shit. But we're hashing some shit out. Very intense negotiations, very personal. But either way, very Bleeding Edge style, maybe. Jesse Starcher, my friend. I'm about to have you. I've had you almost fall out about like 2 times tonight. I think
you need to calm down over there, Jeff. My goodness.
Come on now, Jesse. What would you do without me, brother? I breathe life. I breathe life into your life, brother.
That's the truth. That's the truth. All right. Yeah. Hey, look, if you guys like comics, I mean, you're here at the Marvel's MCU Bleeding Edge. Well, hey, I've got a podcast that's called Source Material. It's we're rolling into, my goodness, I think it'll be 10 years here pretty soon. Since we started this back in 2014. But over 300 and some episodes all total. If you can get on to W2M, right here's the YouTube, W2M YouTube. Yeah, we've covered a lot of things.
I've got it. I've got that one.
That's good stuff, man. So yeah, it's essentially a book club for comics. We sit down, we look at a storyline, we talk about it, and we have a good time. Recently, I think the most recent episode that dropped was Mark Radulich and myself talking Avengers Defenders Tarot, which was a lot of fun. That's a Alan Davis book. So if you ever remember reading the 90s Excalibur books, if you read any of those, he came back. Yeah, he came back and did a 2020 story that crossed the Avengers and Defenders with each other, and it's good. It's actually a really wacky, zany story. Also, on that same website there on YouTube, if you get back to the W2M page, you can find the 90s comics podcast that I do called Unspoken Issues. And just this past Monday, we released our discussion on Capwolf, to a werewolf back in the early 90s, and we discussed it. It was a lot of fun. So other than that, that's about all I got.
Oh, you know what? I just pulled up W2M, but
yeah,
hey,
they got everything over there. I mean, my goodness.
Hey, we're 2.5 hours. Let's get the hell out of here. Tony, brother. Hey, how'd it go, man? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time. We talked about a lot of dying horses, guys getting their heads smashed by hammers, and gay princes.
Hey, we're just glad you came out with us, brother. There's nothing cooler than having somebody come on for the first time.
Yeah. It was cool doing like some research on some of this stuff. Yeah, some random things like actually that's one random fact I looked into was the bagpipes.
I'm gonna call you. We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good.
All right, brother. We appreciate you. All right, folks. We're gonna get the fuck out of here. We love all of you. God bless you. On Friday, what are we reviewing on Friday? We're reviewing the Django Unchained on Friday night. What's up, baby? On Sunday, Andor, the Forever, the Infinity Saga, I don't know how many phases I'm gonna end up doing of my Andor season 1 recap. It could be 27 installments. I'm not even sure. Monday, Andres and I and the MCU'S Bleeding Report, our 10th episode, are starting a Loki re-review of season 1, where we're going to actually flush out 2 episodes per show, then end up with the final segment where we're going to preview Loki season 2 over 3 parts. Where we start Loki season 2 and we start reviewing that bitch episodically. That's what we do on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Because we're not looking for the top spot, baby. We'll take third as long as it's 4 hands or nothing. You feel me? Massage time, baby. Let's get it. Peace.
The hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes?
Yep.
Bring the band in. Woo. Well, all right. Yeah. They want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it. Too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too